Welcome back to Sysadministrivia, the podcast where we go to HackerCons and then don't release audio of that until much, much later. This is Brent.
I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Paden.
We did go to Hope.
We did.
All three of us.
Did. Good time.
What the fuck is Hope?
The hackers on planet Earth, Jthan.
Oh, that's it.
You were there, Jthan.
We made friends.
We did.
We made a couple friends. We met up with friends we already had made. We made a couple new friends.
Special shout out to Beaches. I just lost the game.
Oh, you guys.
It's not my fault.
Listen,
it was entirely Beach's fault.
You said friend, and when I hear the word friend, immediately, Beaches is such a fun-loving guy, and he's so cool. That's not exaggeration for anybody who's listening.
It's true.
So
not.
when somebody says friend, it's just like Beaches pops in my head immediately every time. But as soon as that happens, I'm like, what does Beaches do? He loses the game for me, and sometimes I lose for him, like right now. And
that's all just, he does.
No, I don't know. Maybe
that's the entirety of Beach's influence in your life.
I don't check in on him on a daily basis, such that I know exactly what else he does. There's probably some days where that's a majority of what he's doing. I don't know.
So I just have to say, the last episode when we interviewed Jason Scott, and I said, Beaches, I just lost the game. I thought I was great. I was laughing because I just knew that he would be listening to it right around the same time and saying, darn it, all the heck.
Well, I'm not aware that he listens to us regularly.
He says much, doesn't he?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he listens to us all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure he might be our biggest fan, actually.
I don't know. I think Tech Stewart is our biggest fan.
But he stopped for a while when you guys were being mean.
Yeah, that's true. He kind of checks in and out sometimes.
Yeah. We talk about wolves though, and he's all in, man. You know.
I don't think we've ever talked about wolves except on the shit show.
We have not. Yeah, that's a long time.
Okay. Anyways, we're getting off topic.
We're good at that,
as usual. So we were at Hope, and that was last month, about a month and a half ago, I want to say.
Wait, Hope?
Hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. So we went on Radio Statler again, as we did the Hope before that.
And thank you for having us.
Yeah, and thank you for having us, guys. For sure, that was wonderful.
A blast.
So we went on Radio Statler, and we did our own little segment on what did we call it? HackOps.
HackOps, yeah.
HackOps. It's something we made up.
It's something we made up, but it's something everyone does.
I can see a job posting now. Need 10 years HackOps experience.
I don't think that's something you want to be asking for.
Right.
It's kind of a necessary evil kind of a thing.
Anyway,
but we'll talk more about that in the recording we roll very shortly. However, to lead us into that, number one, what are you guys drinking?
Okay.
Go ahead, Jthan. You go first.
Well, you see here, what happened is I filled her bum with lots of meats and cheeses. I'm drinking a special release of Booker's Bourbon. It is the Blue Knights batch from February 2017. It is a casual 63.7%.
Is that all?
That's all.
Jesus.
Casual.
In any case, it's very good. It's way too smooth to be that high of an alcohol percent. Fun story about this bottle. My brother bought it for me for Christmas. We exchanged bourbon for Christmas this year.
That's great.
Well, I go home to Pennsylvania for Christmas every year, so I got this bottle of bourbon, and then I brought it back. I checked it in my bag, and I came back to Colorado. And when I opened the cap for the first time in Colorado, because of the pressure difference in the air, it just sprayed me in the eyes, and it was fucking terrible.
That's what she said. Okay. I am drinking water and acai juice because I have been getting my ass kicked by allergies, so I'm trying to keep it a little bit healthy right now.
Well, I'm drinking a diet soda, and I told my allergies to go to hell, and they haven't bothered me at all, so it's great.
Which diet soda is this?
Diet Dr. Pepper. It's terrible for you.
I need that for the archival reasons, so we can note it down.
Why? Oh, are you becoming an archivist?
We always note it down.
Yeah, well, we always write it down.
I know.
So I feel really. I hate writing down something generic like "was drinking beer." Send, Anyways,
well, I do have to say though that having him on definitely made me want to write more things down, like...
Who?
Jason Scott,
Oh, yeah.
I definitely want to be like, should I keep this this video of my... Yes, I should.
Yeah, the trick to being a good archivist is being a hoarder and doing it efficiently.
Yes.
Yes. And with cheap hard drives that you buy at Costco.
Yeah, that works too.
Only that one time, though.
If the need arose, I'm sure they could do it again.
Sure. They were customer of the month.
Yeah,
I remember him saying that. Yeah. Okay. So that all being said, Paden, would you like to take us into the news?
Absolutely. That's what I live for. All right. So, unless you've been living under a rock or you just don't care about California, that's me.
Same.
Verizon. I don't know if you're aware of this. Verizon throttled the internet access of a LTE-capable device during a wildfire, the Santa Clara wildfire. I forget the exact name that they were calling it. But they decided that since the device had reached the cap of 25 gigs, that they were going to go ahead and throttle that device. This has now led to an investigation of deceptive practices by the FTC. This is also saying that technically this could go unpunished because the FCC repealed the Open Internet Order. And so what's going on is that currently our congressmen and senators are saying, hey, this isn't right, this shouldn't happen. And other people are saying, well, that's great and all, but we actually just repealed that, so we don't need to care about that anymore. So on one hand, there is a lawsuit being filed to deal with this. There is also an investigation being posed. The big problem is with this is that during the fire, which is still ongoing, I believe, they called up to say, hey, we need to have it unthrottled. And the rep that they talked to said, well, we could put you on a better plan, but it'll be more money. The other part of this is that they were throttled to 1/200th of their normal speed.
Wow.
1/200th. Less than a 900 baud 12 or 900 baud modem.
Jeez.
So we're talking about, emergency communications between, firefighters trying to deal with this major fire that's gonna burn part of or most of California, and they can't communicate because, Verizon's there a bunch of dickbags.
Just like all legislation and business plans, a surprising lack of foresight.
Right, exactly. The next, oh my god, this is terrible news we have, is that the Andromeda botnet operator was released with a slap on the wrist. His name is Sergey Yaretz. He's also known as Ares, AR3S. He was arrested last year for running an instance of the Andromeda botnet. He was released by Belarusian authorities with nothing more than a slap on the wrist, literally. He was fined 11,000 rubles, Belarusian rubles, which is around $5,400. All he had to do was pay the money back, the profits he made from the botnet, and he was fine. They let him go. They also fined him 2,940 rubles, which is about $1,425, but they credited that fine for the 6 months he spent in prison. Now, here's the kicker. The reason why they said he didn't do anything wrong is because none of his victims were Belarusian. So he ran one of the biggest botnets.
You said he literally got a slap on the wrist. When did that happen?
I may have been, being a little loose with my language there.
Okay. So the exact opposite of literal. Then.
Literal. Figuratively slap on the wrist.
Okay, got it.
So the Belarusian police arrested him last year as part of a joint FBI and Europol investigation that shut down one of the largest botnets. Microsoft ESET, the Shadow Server Foundation, ICANN, and other organizations helped Sinkhole, that's their term, Yaretz's botnet. The Andromeda obviously is a name used to describe a botnet of computers infected with the eponymous malware. It's used to infect users and later download other malware, offering install space for other crooks. So he went back to his old job, and that's the technical director at the OJSC Televid radio and TV station. So a bit of news that's near and dear to my heart now is there's a judge who has extended the ban on 3D printed guns. Now, he's a judge in Seattle. He upheld the ban on publishing instructions to 3D print guns amid ongoing litigation challenging this. Basically, what he said was that Defense Distributed and Cody Wilson, who's the founder of Defense Distributed, cannot upload their directions to the internet. Wilson is saying that this is a First Amendment right to be able to publish this. And the judge, Robert Lasnik, wrote that the burdens on Wilson's First Amendment rights are dwarfed by the irreparable harms the states are likely to suffer if the existing restrictions are withdrawn, and that overall the public interest strongly supports maintaining the status quo, which is just crap. Yes.
You've always been able to make your own firearms, though.
Correct.
I mean, that's nothing new. The difference is now your people are actually sharing the designs.
Yeah, I honestly don't know how I feel about this, because it seems like a freedom of speech issue to me.
In one case, you have always been able to make your own firearms. Period. Full stop.
I mean, that's how Samuel Colt became so famous. He invented and created and patented a firearm, and then he also made it so that you could mass produce it.
Yeah, I mean, you need to be licensed to distribute and manufacture for mass consumption, but for your own use,
right.
Correct. You've always been able to do it.
Correct.
I mean, it still needs to. It's still restricted by like NFA and stuff like that. But
no. If you make your own firearm and it doesn't have a serial number, you are not restricted per the rules of the law.
I'm almost positive that's incorrect, but I would need an attorney to get on here because neither Paden and I are one.
Correct.
But I'm fairly certain that's not true. I'm fairly certain whether you make it or whether you buy it, it's still we'll put it in the errata. But here nor there. You've always been able to make... There is nothing new about 3D printing guns. The big issue here is the actual data about the design of those guns, which I still don't really see much of an issue with. The difference is now you're talking about kind of open sourcing that data instead of just harboring it in the patent office. And for the most part, patents, they go through a process and they are eventually opened themselves, but you still need to pay royalties if you use that, so on and so forth. But point being, like, there's nothing really new about this. People are just freaking out because they didn't know that you could do this before.
Well, the big thing, and I'm sorry, the big thing is that people are trying to say that you can go and you can produce these... a machine gun or an AR-15, you can produce a very simple firearm. It's very simple.
Yeah.
It's not going to be capable of hundreds or thousands of rounds. It's literally going to be capable of one or two shots. And at that point, depending on the ammunition used, it's probably going to blow apart. I mean, this is not something that's going to be causing mass shootings. So
that's just a really bold statement to just flat out say.
I would probably use a steel chamber and then everything else 3D print. But either way, my point is, like, what is the real concern here? Is it mass production? Is it ease of use? Because I'll tell you one thing, 3D printing isn't going to make either of those things a feasible thing.
I think it's just that you don't need a background check or any kind of mental health check to buy a 3D printer.
But you don't need a mental check or a background check to go and make your own, and you don't need a 3D printer to make your own firearm either.
I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, zip guns have been made since...
zip guns...
before I can even recall a firearm being made,
Really, you just get a steel tube and a pin, and that's a firearm.
Right, exactly. Right, exactly. Some way of firing the pin, and you've got a firearm, and it doesn't, any engineer that's worth their salt can do this, and you don't need to have a degree or any kind of BS in there. So I feel like, this idea that 3D printing a gun is bad and terrible, when in reality it's, something cool you can do. And it's not really going to, I don't foresee, I should say, in my opinion, this causing problems to the extent of, ban all the things.
Yeah. I mean, Jthan, like, the probability of this assisting a mass shooting is ridiculous. I understand your concern.
No, and to be fair, I don't know where I fall on it. I'm kind of just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't go as far personally as to say on live television or wherever the fuck we are that, this can't be used for XYZ, because, you just don't know what the fuck someone's going to dream up, so...
I can tell you what's feasible and what would be much easier. I'll tell you what's not easy is trying to use a 3D printer to create a firearm that's going to sustain a mass shooting. It's not easy, period.
In reality, a criminal is going to go to the street corner and buy whatever they want to buy, and he's going to use it in 5 minutes versus, going and sourcing a 3D
buying
printer.
Buying a 3D gun,
right,
a 3D printer,
it's
just to...
Realistically, this is hurting legal law-abiding citizens, not criminals, is what this is doing.
Yeah.
And that's the problem that I have.
I wish we had like a Sysadministrivia. So we had like a podcast where you can just carry over non-relevant topics. Because I would love to have an entire episode devoted to talking about this. But yeah, but that's a whole variously
the world's not
complex
ready.
Discussion.
Yeah.
The world's not ready.
No.
It's a very complex discussion, and not a whole lot of factual information is being found in the mass media about it, unfortunately. So make sure you do your research. If you want to talk to us more about that off channel, like directly or in our IRC channel, we have plenty of people who are very knowledgeable about firearms in there. So feel free to join.
We also
and talk to us about it there. Yes.
No. Continue.
What were you going to say, Jthan?
Please move on.
Okay, I'm moving on. Paden, what next news item do you have?
Well,
I believe we're still in the news.
We are still in the news. So we have a CVE for Struts. It's CVE 2018 11776. Basically, what this is...
What was the big compromise where some company got comped and it was because they didn't update Struts and they were trying to blame Struts?
Equifax. Was it?
Was that Equifax?
It might have been. I don't know if it was.
It was a big one.
It was a baddie we did 3-4 episodes ago, I want to say?
No, it was... Struts was like a year ago.
Yeah, it was a while back. Keep talking, I'll look it up.
Okay. So Apache Struts versions 2.3 to 2.3.34 and 2.5 to 2.516 suffer from possible remote code execution when using results with no namespace and in same time. So the upper actions will have no or wildcard namespace. Same possibility when using URL tag, which doesn't have value, and an action set and in same time. Its upper actions have no or wildcard namespace. I'm sorry, that's very confusing to read, but that's it. So it's currently awaiting analysis. It is considered a vulnerability, obviously, so make sure that you are not necessarily up to date, but are monitoring this, because I don't see that there's a patch available for it at this time.
I have confirmed it is, in fact, Equifax that
Boom,
blamed Apache Struts.
win. Somebody give that motherfucker a prize.
You deserve all the prizes, Jthan.
Damn straight I do.
On a rag.
I should fucking wake up every day and somebody should give me shit, because
I'm not going to give you any prize. I'm going to shit on your chest instead.
Well,
in some countries, that's a prize.
I don't think that's a prize in any country.
So the next thing we have, I don't know if any of you guys have played Fortnite. I've done about exactly 3 minutes of it. I can't stand it. It's annoying.
Nope.
There is a Fortnite installer for Android. The Fortnite APK is downloaded by the Fortnite installer, and it goes to external storage. And then any app with right external storage permission can substitute the APK immediately after the download is completed and the fingerprint is verified. This is easily done using a file observer. The Fortnite installer will then proceed to install the substituted/fake APK. So what happens is like on Samsung devices, the Fortnite installer performs the APK install silently via private Galaxy Apps API. The API checks that the APK being installed has the package name com.epicgames.fortnite. I think you can see where this is going. Consequently, the fake APK with a matching package name can then be silently installed. If the fake APK has a target SDK version of 22 or lower, it will be granted all permissions and requests at install time. So this vulnerability allows an app on the device to hijack the Fortnite installer to instead install a fake APK with any permissions that would normally require user disclosure. Can you see where this is a problem?
Yeah. Yeah, this is not good.
So don't install Fortnite.
At least on Android.
Just don't install it. It's currently being tracked in Google, obviously. It's a Priority P1 Sev 2. There is an Epic Games guy assigned to it. There's a nice long little listing here, but it's been out since August of 15. If you downloaded Fortnite around that time, uninstall it, recheck it. So the next thing we have is how a gentleman hacked, or a lady, I should say, hacked Blackhat 2018. Obviously, this is one of the world's largest cybersecurity events. It's in Las Vegas. Our good friend over at Malware Reports was arrested there last year. I guess not really our good friend, but,
Malware Blog?
Malware Blog, yeah, that guy. He was getting frustrated with the badge and lanyard making noise around his neck, so he took it off and set it down on the table next to him. He then set his phone on top of it and saw a notification to read the NFC tag. Out of curiosity, he downloaded the tag reader app, looked at the data stored in the tag, and made a few observations. The email address was not on the tag. His real first and last name were in the tag and in plain text, and there were a couple of numbers preceding the name delimited by a non-printable character. And there's a bunch of unreadable data after his name or her name. It's possibly encrypted or binary data. And then there's a second record which contains a URL that instructs the user to download the B-Card app. So he has an example of the tag in here, and I guess it's just NFC that he's using to pull this all down. But then he emailed security at the email address, received a bounce reply. He sent a message to the COO on LinkedIn. He then sent a message to the sysadmin on LinkedIn, received a response from the IT director that night. So this is from August 9th, August 12th. He finally got a response. They exchanged some emails with details about the issue, and they were going to discuss that on Monday. And then August 13th, the API had been disabled as it was a legacy system. After retesting the API, he was unable to pull any Blackhat attendee records. So he was able to use this information from his badge to find out how to pull any registered user's information. So that's terrible. You would think that Blackhat would have a better security process for their users, attendees.
Yeah, you'd think.
And our last, oh my god, this is a terrible bit of news, but one we already kind of really knew, is that Google has confirmed it tracks users even when the location history setting is disabled. So they updated their Help Center documentation Thursday to clarify that its location data collection policies and changes made in light of recent revelations that the firm's apps and website continue to harvest user information even when a global local history setting is disabled. What they're saying now is that you have to go into web and app activity in addition, so you have to disable web and app activity in addition to location history. Once you do that, then it will stop tracking you. But I don't believe that. And that's Paden with the news.
Welcome back, everyone, to Radio Statler. Thank you for enjoying our chatter. I'm here with the kids of the Sysadministrivia podcast. Nice I like to pronounce every single letter because you put all that effort into putting those letters in there. I'll be the host this hour. I'm Johnny Christmas, and I'm here with
Brent.
Oh, get up on that, Brent.
Get up right up on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's better.
I feel like I did this last year, too. Yeah, Brent. Anyways, I'm Brent.
Hi, Brent.
I'm Jonathan.
Jonathan.
And I'm Paden.
Paden. How you guys doing today?
Doing pretty well. A little tuckered out.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, you were out later than I was.
Hope is
And
a
I
little
was
wild
out
and
later
crazy
than everybody else.
place.
Yeah. So what is this that we're drinking here?
This is so I'm only the host for the drinking section of this podcast, and then I'll go ahead and let you guys take over.
Okay.
Because
Well,
it's
we're
actually your
podcast,
your show. I'm actually a guest on your show, and out of habit, just said I'm the host.
Right.
And I'm just giving you the minimum necessary to understand what's going on in here. So what we're drinking here is a Chicago-only liqueur. It's only available in Chicago. It's called Malort. It's from a company called Jeppson's. Carl Jeppson makes it, assumedly in his truck's gas tank.
Don't do it!
Definitely not.
Too late.
That's for those playing along at home. Those screams are coming from outside the booth. And
At that point.
it's got. I mean, what do you go? Let's go around. What do you guys think of this? The nose.
So
It's a lot like.
it smells like gasoline. It has a distinct.
It does.
Yeah, like a petroleum.
really-
I definitely
yeah,
smell a petrol. And then go ahead and just drink it all in one gulp.
So I actually beat to the punch.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's got a
The visible will.
that's got a little bit of a kick to it there. It's
Now
I
when
don't
it
know what that tastes like at
when
all.
it
That's
first
not
hit
good.
my tongue,
Yeah.
I was all right. I was like, oh, this is great.
Yeah.
This is fantastic.
It's almost floral, right?
right.
Yeah.
And
Right.
then it hits the back of your throat, and then you're like, oh my fucking, like
That's
I'm
what she
done.
said.
What is
And
that?
then about 30 seconds in, it creeps.
Yeah, why
And
is the
bitterness-
aftertaste so terrible?
the
Yeah,
aftertaste is really
like
bad.
it keeps
I
getting
feel
worse.
like I'm chewing on plastic.
I haven't heard that one yet. I've heard.
Finish it up though.
I've heard that it's why they started the Chicago Fire. That's one of my personal favorites.
I would too. Holy cow.
This is what makes people vote for Trump. Was a,
You know what?
Good one.
It puts hair in your chest.
and
I
wherever
mean,
else.
yeah.
See if this helps you get that taste out of your mouth.
Okay. All right.
Oh, this is amazing.
I'm good here. I'm
Yeah.
not a.
You're good. Okay. Yeah. This is a 0 carb pancake that I made.
Oh, what is it made out of then?
Mostly eggs and
Sand.
cream cheese.
Not carbs,
Yeah.
obviously.
It's mostly
carbs.
plastic. It's just this.
It does get the taste out of your mouth.
Boil it down.
I'll grant that.
It's good.
Yeah. So This is the show. We're going to eat on air.
Yeah.
Just
Are we
chew.
ready?
Just
So
chew
we got about
loudly.
an hour of this left.
Yeah.
Just
No, I got a bunch of pancakes. We can do it. I got a bunch of Malort.
So that was the podcast.
So whenever I go to cons, I try to bring a couple bottles to expose different
your
cultures.
enemies, for the people you
So you're
hate.
trying to spread the hate, so to speak?
Well, it's, you know how like back in the day, like British imperialists would go into Africa or America and just murder the natives. and
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I like to do
Here's some
at
blankets
cons.
with,
Yeah.
measles on them or whatever.
Right. So my version of blankets with measles is Malort, and I like to go to the cons and expose new cultures to terror.
I mean,
and fear.
you're not wrong because it
Really?
it
Yeah.
starts out like you're like, oh, this is great, and then by the time they're walking away, you're like, this is terrible.
It's
I
the
wanna
blankets
find
with the
this-
measles. They think the blankets are
It's
great. They're like, oh,
exactly.
yeah. And then, like, a day later,
I want
why
to
do I
find this
have a
guy, like,
cold?
beat him up, Like, what the hell, man? What are you thinking, dude?
you had a violent response. I just want to
Yeah.
kick your ass.
So if you go to Chicago, I've admittedly not spent time there. Can you get like cocktails with it?
Yeah.
What do they make with it?
I'm not a bartender, and I couldn't tell you offhand. It's a similar liqueur to like chartreuse. So it's like chartreuse with less flavors, but it's still that intense bitterness. So it works good with citruses. If you're going to mix it with, I like to throw a shot of it into a grapefruit radler. That's pretty good. Gives it a little extra bitterness, kind of balances that sweet out, makes it its own thing. It's like, you ever have like a digestive, like, no.
Tums or what do
No,
you mean by
like
digestive?
Underberg that comes in the little bottles.
No.
Yeah.
An after dinner digestive liqueur.
No, I don't.
I can
think
honestly
have
say
one of
I've
those.
not. But I
Okay.
do understand what you're talking about. It's that small bottle that's
Yeah.
supposed to help you just like clean your tract
Yeah,
out.
you'll see it in the German bars a lot.
Yeah.
It's that also has a bitter base like this. The bitterness comes from wormwood, which
there
tastes
you go.
like it sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also the base. This is the base of absinthe.
Oh, okay.
Absinthe is
I've
heavily
had,
wormwood,
I've had lots
and
of
then
absinthe. Yeah.
okay.
like-
This is the bitterness that's inside the
Yeah.
absinthe,
Interesting.
but it's just wormwood. So
Terrible.
I think it tastes like you know how like you ever have red.
So, I thought wormwood distilling was still illegal in the U.S. I know that you can use NEs, and that's legal.
No, it's up to a certain thujone level is legal now.
Okay.
Yeah, which is pretty much, and that high level is pretty hard to even get to anyway because it's actually been bred out of wormwood in the wild.
Okay.
And so there's botanists trying to fix that, like you can't get the levels that absinthe had in like the 1800s.
Exactly.
It's just
I
been bred
honestly,
out.
I don't think you would want to.
I don't.
I feel like it would taste terrible.
I'll try anything once.
It does get you a very noticeably happy kind of drunk.
Got
so
it.
there's at least that.
Did it get you happy drunk?
Yeah.
Now,
Interesting.
Johnny, before we swing into our thing, I have a question. I'm not seeing the glory hole. I have my doubts as to.
I've been looking for
The handshake glory hole?
No.
Oh.
No. No,
I'm not-
last year,
Well,
last
2
hope,
years ago,
2 years
whatever,
ago,
yeah.
whatever. Last time, there was definitely a glory hole in this booth.
Is it right there?
No.
No,
It
so
got
we-
removed, actually.
We had
Okay.
some individuals who weren't pleased with its presence.
I see.
So like we repurposed it into just a general liquor delivery hole.
Okay. All right.
And
Liquor delivery.
this year we opted to not have one.
I
at
see.
all.
Just avoid the scandal altogether.
Yeah.
It's probably a smart move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I mean like I'm a fan of people yelling on the air about stuff, like that's all we do here. But
Right.
there was a consensus and we decided no glory hole this year. I'm sorry. I know it was a staple of the Radio Statler booth.
It was something I was looking forward to.
You notice
Say that.
there's an 87% reduction in penises on the walls this year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I'm disappointed. I was really looking forward to seeing the glory hole wall.
Yeah.
So,
That's true.
but
you know what?
it's fine.
If you wanted to like militantly create one in the middle of the night, guerrilla glory hole installation or something.
I mean,
You're saying you ain't gonna snitch.
I wouldn't know who did it because I wouldn't be here.
That's true. And it wouldn't be us. Why would it be us?
yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Who does that?
Clearly.
No.
who does that exactly? That's right. Why would you do
people
that?
who want to see a glory hole restored to its former glory, Paden.
I mean, if it mysteriously appears, we can revel in its glory, right?
If that's what you call what you do
I
to
would
it.
revel.
There would be revelry.
I would totally
revelry. Yeah.
I'd be very happy.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We should
Go
get
on that note. I'll hand the show over to the Sysadministrivia
You almost got it.
You almost got it.
Sysadministrivia podcast kids.
Yeah, so Brent, I'll let you intro us, and then I can talk a little bit about the topic. Johnny, for what it's worth, you should just chime in if you feel like you want to.
Yeah,
we're
glory
talking
holes.
a little bit about
Glory
operations
holes,
shit.
Glory holes.
And
Right.
you do have some experience with that.
glory
Glory
holes?
holes notwithstanding.
Yeah.
No,
No, I have
you're
a
the
lot
one- You're the one with extensive.
Right,
Strong
Jthan has the strong
It's a
working
strong
knowledge
working knowledge of glory.
of glory
What
holes.
was that?
That's
Season 2 shit show? Season 1 shit show?
Season 1 should show.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, so this is Sysadministrivia. Welcome back. I don't really have a normal sounding intro for this because we're not balancing this ourselves, obviously, and we're not doing the intro music. So it feels a little weird.
Do you have it on your phone? You just throw it on the mic.
No, I do different intro music every time.
Oh, okay.
So it feels a little odd to me, but
We have this great background noise too, and I'm not saying that sarcastically. I really love that. It makes the listeners really understand. Like we're at a conference.
oh
we
yeah,
are
yeah.
in the middle of like a crowded conference on the busiest day.
Very crowded.
With people screaming and riding segways.
Do we have a
everywhere.
head count for this year yet?
Oh, I don't.
Okay.
I don't personally. Let me see if I can ping one up. But
Yeah. If not, don't worry about it. But,
I'm guessing probably this year 2,300 based on previous trends.
Yeah. So it's grown. It's getting bigger every year. I feel like the crowd control was better this year though.
Yeah.
Well,
feels-
it's a bigger venue from what I understand.
No, it's the same venue.
No, I mean the space they have is bigger this year than in years past. I mean that's what the tweet said.
I think they added, what was it, Richard? I think they added one, but
Yeah.
the rooms are the same on the 18th
Are they?
floor.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
We didn't add a room. We moved a room
Okay.
downstairs.
That's probably
Right.
what I was saying.
And
yeah.
so
yeah.
the large room upstairs used to be a large room and then a tiny room in the back of it. We
Yeah.
just pulled that wall back in
Okay.
to make the large room even larger. And then we made the tiny room
That's
larger
right.
by moving
Yeah,
it
yeah,
downstairs. So yeah, we're actually on 2 floors this year, which is weird in its own right.
Yeah.
The downstairs room is really freaking cool.
I
'cause
haven't even looked down
It's
there.
actually really hot, but I get what you're saying.
it's in the bowels of the hotel.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
in the back hallways where like people don't go. It's like because there's nothing back there except
Yeah,
we
yeah.
said, hey, can we use one of these rooms? And they were like,
Yeah, sure, whatever.
yeah, I guess. Go
Sure.
ahead.
We'll have to get the
We're not
mold out
using them,
first,
yeah.
but it's
But
fine.
yeah, but those bowels are really cool to run around in. The hotel doesn't care too. They love that we love the back alleys so
Cool.
much. So
Yeah.
I mean, we've almost I don't want to put too much faith into hope, but like it's pretty much kept Hotel Pennsylvania afloat at certain points, you know. So I'm sure they're grateful for us. There have been several
definitely-
times where, you know, there was big talk of it being
yeah, as
torn down.
as a noted hope historian. One of my favorite things that the hotel has done in our favor was that we were here the same year as the Republican National Convention, who was at Madison Square Garden, a block away, and obviously many of them stayed here. The poor bastards.
I think I remember reading about that one. That was
They wrote a letter. The general manager of the Hotel Pennsylvania wrote a letter to 2600 magazine, which was published in the magazine, stating directly that we were a much more well-behaved and respectful group than the Republican National Convention. We,
That's
a group of hackers who have devoted our lives to
causing chaos,
troublesome
Sure,
activities.
yeah.
things that make you go, at least.
Where they would rather have us in the hotel than the
Yeah.
Republican National
Yeah.
Convention,
That's nuts.
possibly the most conservative group in America.
That's nuts.
I feel part of that is hackers anyways, at least understand you don't shit where you eat.
Well, we have to make that announcement every year at the opening ceremonies, like, hey, please don't fuck with the hotel. They're
Yeah.
very good to us.
Yeah,
Let's be
they
good
are.
to them in return.
Absolutely.
There's the largest city in the country out there for you to go fuck with. Do it there. Please
Yeah.
just don't fuck. And you know what? Every year there's somebody who does something that crosses a line, and they're dealt with. And We let a lot of stuff slide. The hotel lets a lot of stuff slide. The hotel takes a lot of precautions. They shut off all the self-check-in kiosks, things like that. Like they know what they're getting into.
Smart thing to do.
Yeah, and they're still, they train their staff on who's coming here and what kind of people we are. The staff's very respectful and they love that we're here.
Yeah.
And so we take care of the hotel. Hotel takes care of us. There was the year of the last hope when the hotel was going to close.
Yeah.
And
I remember that.
2600 crew had looked and looked and looked all over, had looked into New Jersey, trying to find a new venue. And there was absolutely no one who could give us the deal that Hotel Pennsylvania gives us. And so Emmanuel and 2600 had announced that, like, since the Hotel Pennsylvania is being torn down, Hope will have to cease to exist because they refused to charge $300 a badge for attendees.
Yeah.
So that's unconscionable. We cannot do that. We're just going to have to close down. And then, lo and behold, hotel got historical monument status and is now safe and preserved for the time being. And here we are. So the last hope was not a scam to get people to show up. They really did think it was going to be as they were going into it.
I vividly remember reading about that. It was like, we have really bad news. The hotel's going to get torn down. I mean, I was like, holy crap, I'm never going to get to go to this.
Yeah.
And then here I am. What was that? 10 years ago? A little bit more than that?
Gosh, it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
And,
It was
and here
exactly
I am.
10
This
years
is my
ago.
first hope, and at the Hotel Pennsylvania. It's great.
Awesome. With what might be a record-breaking crowd. So we'll
There's
see.
a lot of people here.
There you go. All right.
Anyway,
I feel like I've been pulling us up on
I'm going to be like typical Jthan. We got to get back on topic.
Right.
Are you going to tell us that it's going to be a short episode this time?
No, but now that it's been burned into my brain, we're probably going to go over.
Nah, I'm the one that said it. So
Okay. So we wanted to talk. We didn't know what the fuck we were going to talk about at first.
Yeah,
Right.
We were just like, we want to be on the radio, but we don't really have good ideas.
Well, we were invited on the beaches, and I was like, well, I don't have anything to talk about this time. You know,
for
I
yourself.
feel
I
like we
like
had a
to
good
hear
time
my own
last
voice,
time. Well, yeah.
I just wanted to be here.
Okay. All right. Calm down. You need a claim. So, you know, we hashed it out, and then like yesterday.
It was pretty much yesterday.
Yeah.
We came up with the title before we actually knew what the hell the title meant.
That's true.
So
I just thought of like HackOps. That's got to be a thing, right?
Yeah,
it's
sure.
not, by the way, but we're making it.
I feel like all ops is hack ops.
In a way, yeah, and that's kind of what we're gonna have. So, yeah, we're making it a thing. We're co-opting the word. We're making it a thing.
Sure. We have notes that we're looking
Yeah,
at.
thank you. Yeah.
Because we came up with this.
We normally have notes, and normally when we record our podcast, you know, like a normal episode, I have them right in front of me,
Yeah.
but I don't this time. So this is okay.
Because you forgot your power brick for your laptop.
Yes, I did do that. That's true.
Onward and upwards.
Thank you.
Don't mind me.
So we are a podcast centered around system administration and systems engineering. If anyone who's listened to us before is familiar with us, you would know that very well. But we don't really... This isn't our scene per se, and I know Johnny's kind of have something to say about it. He usually has stuff to say about something. But, no, it's not our scene at the end of the day, and we're okay with that. We like coming here to see the people. We like learning. We like the hacker culture. But at the end of the day, we're not strictly...
I think the only way you can call it not your scene is if you actively keep yourself out of it.
Okay.
Well, it's not that we're not a part of it or anything. It's just like most of the topics here are not actually pertinent to what we do or enjoy doing.
There's a distinct schism.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I can
I'm
agree.
okay with that schism, and I enjoy being here.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know, it's there, and there's nothing we can do about it, and that's fine, because we're operations. We're not, we're not pen testers. We're not security and defense people. We're not. We're
We keep the lights on, so to speak.
We're the first line in the implementation,
Right.
basically.
But if
We're
you,
not. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut in. Go ahead.
Well, just if you look at what it actually means to hack, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's 2018 and
no.
weird things are happening.
No, I'm not letting the news co-opt the meaning on this.
Well, I'm just saying, people use the word hack like, oh, there was a data breach and all these people
you're
got hacked.
A hacker?
I personally tend to use the word like...
Oh, hacked as in the adjective?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But what does it really mean to hack? Like, what is a hacker?
So I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna be that guy. I'm gonna go back to the jargon file, and the jargon file, which is basically a dictionary and glossary and so on and so forth, maintained since like the 70s, right? Mm-hmm. The jargon file talks about the definition of hacking, and it refers to finding a creative way around a problem, making stuff do what it wasn't designed to do, things like that. That is the heart of what I consider to be hacking.
Yeah. Well,
and sure, sometimes vulnerabilities fall into that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to. Right?
Well, from what I have taken from hacking, it's finding information and distilling the information out, making it available to everyone. Cracking is the method of going and defacing websites and things like that. So when you say that you're hacking
I would say that's compromising and
sure,
more than anything.
But
yeah, no.
But hacking itself is, there's information I want to release to the world, I'm going to find it and get it out there. Versus like, I want your bank account numbers.
I would say
even
that's but I would say it's more
just
driven around like self-curiousness more than anything.
For me, the word tinkering comes to mind.
Tinker's a good word for it.
Yeah,
sure. Absolutely.
So anyway, we're going to roll with that definition. You know, hackers are tinkerers, and they like to fuck with things in ways that they're not necessarily designed to fuck with.
Yeah. I'm down with that.
And so for us, yes, we're systems administrators, and especially Brent, he's like an 85-year-old man most of the time.
Yeah.
He is the biggest curmudgeon I've ever...
What is he the rest of the time?
Sleeping.
Yeah.
Curmudgeon.
Like an 85-year-old man.
I have to call him before we record, like, hey, man, you need to get up, join us. So, okay, all right, I'm up.
So what can we as ops people learn from hacker culture? What can we take away from that, and how can we apply it to what we actually do?
I think the big part is...
And we're now calling that HackOps, by the way.
HackOps.
HackOps. It's not DevOps.
Taking a hacker's approach towards operations.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we have a couple of notes here, as we stated. I think the first thing that we all sort of agreed on, there's a lot of people here, especially you look at people doing like biohacking, which I'm not getting into how I feel about that personally, but...
we have on the show before.
Yes.
Yeah.
It makes me angry.
It's a favorite topic of mine. It's a divisive topic.
If there's an extra segment later, we could probably talk about it.
You can talk about it.
I get mad.
I'll let you...
Anyway,
we're probably on the same side of the topic, it sounds like, though, so that would be very boring.
Or you can just scream at the microphone.
Yeah, it would just be proselytizing.
I'll play devil's advocate for you.
So,
I'll be napping.
You think you're better than God?
So,
yes.
Biohackers in particular, I bring them up as an example because they're using all kinds of interesting tools.
It's pretty funny. It's the speakers out there.
They're using all kinds of tools that are meant for commercial lab settings and for doing very specific procedures and medical things, and they're just kind of fucking around with it and injecting themselves with weird cells and stuff. That's a very loose definition of biohacking as well. But
that's also how reproduction works.
That's true. Anyway,
you're right. You're not wrong.
You're not
sex
wrong.
Biohack.
But in the case of biohackers who are using 3D printing and stuff to come up with lab grade sort of equipment to mix solutions and stuff like that, that's where I was going with all this. Sometimes a working solution is an okay solution. If you don't have $10,000 to spend on some kind of appliance that you need to mix two liquids together, but you can make your own because you have a 3D printer and it costs you sub $500, I think that's an okay solution, even if you're using it for asinine things. So,
or more accurately, if you've got two dead-ass, I mean, not dead, obviously, but like two really old switches, dumb switches.
Yeah, I was going to say, how do we transition
instead of
now?
VLANing and buying a new switch, I think it's totally fine to just use the two switches.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Sure.
So
them on the gateway.
But in any case, what is an actual example in ops where sometimes a working solution is an okay solution? That isn't your dumb switch example, because nobody even does networking anymore. The internet is just ubiquitous and it's everywhere, and you don't have to do anything.
No, I feel like you have a vast misunderstanding of the amount of work There is literally a team of knock engineers next door, Jthan.
There is.
There's not a
There
hole.
is.
I can't see them. I don't believe it.
Oh, that's right.
You know what? I can
Wouldn't
take
it
care of
be-
that for you really fast. I mean, I wouldn't do that right
Wouldn't
now.
it be glorious if there was a hole?
It would be pretty.
And you
glorious.
wouldn't know which knock engineer was on the other side of it. You could imagine.
You can just stick your mouth.
It's your
down
time in the
and
box
ask
there.
and be like, hey,
Yeah, you just run your cable
I
through
need
the
some
hole.
attention here. Can you?
So okay, you're doing some kind of turnkey deployment.
Yeah.
Maybe you're building some kind of clustered infrastructure or a distributed service or something.
Sure.
I assume you're using Pixie and Kickstart or something like that, or perhaps you're using a configuration management tool. But there's a single node that doesn't build properly. You don't end up with a working product. So out of 50 machines, one doesn't work.
Yeah.
I would argue that's an okay time to employ some kind of HackOps techniques to get it up and running, assimilate it into
Yep.
your infrastructure. So where do you draw the line? When is it okay to HackOps something, and when do you have to properly op something?
Well, I mean, like, I think that's a really complex question, right?
That's what we're here for.
I
We're
hate
doing
simple
science.
answers, though. So, like, look at it this way: like, how important is this piece of machinery to your? I'm gonna sound like some kind of corporate buzz like shill here. How important it is to your mission, right? Like, is this
Your
box
mission.
replaceable in functionality? Is there no other drop-in replacement you can employ?
So, I actually had something happen at work recently where I was visited by a former manager
Yeah.
who moved to a different department, and one of the people under him, and they had an appliance that was low on hard drive space. Root was full,
Yeah.
and I had to hack away at root to create some space so that they could continue operating the appliance. It wasn't on LVM, and I couldn't expand the disk because it was an appliance and we had no actual like controls over it.
I'm not sure if that classifies.
That's
I'm
my
not sure if I
definition
would
of
classify
hacking into things.
Well,
too.
what would have been? So if we're considering a hack to be like a non-standard
Yeah.
method,
Yeah, right.
like against best practices, but that's what you had to do, what would be the standard method of dealing with that? If what you described as the hack,
So the
what
standard
else
method
could have been done?
I would say would be to grow the file system either with another disk.
But you said that wasn't possible.
Right. So you could, drop the system, add another disk, put it back up again, and then,
I feel like a hack
Put root
would
on
be
there or-
mounting a virtual file system from the host. I feel like that's definitely hacky. That's
Yeah,
arguably
like
hacky.
hooking
Sure,
up a
but it's not
USB
efficient.
drive
Yeah,
and like
yeah,
expanding
yeah.
the volume.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that's kind of
That's a lot more hacky than what I did, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, standard practice would be to, just add more disk to it if you can.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, or
Once
anything else.
upon a time, it was standard practice to actually just
Yeah.
delete junk data.
Yeah.
So
I think I could give you another good example of something
Yeah.
I recently did that I would definitely consider HackOps. So
Okay.
second week in June, I was running a hackathon as part of something called Rocky Mountain Genomics HackCon, which was like a week-long
you
conference.
talk so quietly.
You speak up.
I don't think I'm that quiet.
He's got the crap mic.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not even on the earphones. I'm just
Oh,
saying,
yeah.
in
He
general-
also talks quiet.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was using Amazon
No,
resources.
we're going to
for this
focus
event.
on how quietly you talk for 5.
I was talking real
Oh, now
quiet.
he's doing his ASMR bullshit.
So I was running Amazon compute instances for this event for
Amazon puke instances?
Compute?
Compute.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
As
that's,
iterated, I can't.
that's still in private beta.
And at the end of the day, I just needed them to work and have the software that the researchers I was supporting at the time what they needed.
Right.
But I did need some consistency in terms of I needed to be able to log into all of them. Most likely at these events, they tend to have a lot of sharing of data and whatnot. So I ended up writing this Python script that essentially just checked into a list of shit on GitHub. So it pulled a static file every 5 minutes. Was like, are all of these packages installed? Yes. Don't do anything. Are all of these?
Minutes.
Yeah, every 5 minutes. Are all of these? It's pretty hacky, right? Are all of these users on the machine right now? Yes. Okay, so don't do anything. And then on top of that, I didn't even want to manage passwords or keys for anybody, so I just found everybody's GitHub username ahead of time, and I pulled their pub keys from there to give them access to the machines. So during the event itself, I didn't have to manage keys for anybody. They could just add or remove from GitHub.
That's pretty accurate.
It works.
Yeah, it was great. I didn't have to do anything. I was like, it was great. It's pretty hacky, but it worked for what I was doing, which was like a low, a low barrier of entry. Like it took me 20 minutes to set up.
Uh-huh.
It took less time than setting up Puppet or Ansible properly. It was like hacky DevOps bullshit.
Why did you even need to do that? In other words, like, I think all three of us, and I'm sure Johnny can. I don't want to exclude him because he's done operations work.
I like turtles.
I like turtles. He's done operations work before, so
I have.
He's definitely
Many years.
Yes, he's definitely.
And lots of
valid
HackOps. I worked for a company actually as a systems engineer where literally 100% of the equipment was garbage picked.
Yeah.
Like from the trash. Because we were
100% HackOps.
We were an IT asset recycling firm, and so it was like, oh, you need switches?
We got a whole
Johnny then
try to find a couple that match.
Cool.
I have to narrate my movements.
Right.
This is good radio.
We run into the same problem very frequently because we're an audio-only podcast.
Yeah.
But,
so you were asking me why did I need to do that? What do you mean why?
Like I think all of us at this table agree it's necessary. It's always going to be necessary to some degree. The question is what qualifies it? At what point do you stray from the standard, the SOP?
For me, it comes down to evaluating. Like this was a 3-day event. There was no sensitive data involved. So if the Amazon instances somehow became compromised, like you destroy it and spin up a new one because it's the cloud, which is magical.
Yeah.
And it took me less time to write that functionality than to install Puppet and deploy it on all the nodes, which is what I normally use like in my production environment, right? But it was just like, how can I get this done the most efficiently that I can? Because in this case, it's okay if it's just working and it's not actually the best solution that I could come up with.
So I would say that if you're absolutely like in a mission critical state where, everything's on fire and you have to get everything back up again or into a at least tenuous state, by all means, drop the SOP, do everything you can to get it back up again, and then at that point you can resume your change management and things like that.
Well, and there are cases that will never work, right? Like, well, I don't know why this isn't on the network, but it's a bunch of personally identifiable information. But who cares? Just turn the firewall off. It'll be okay.
Wait, you don't know what? No, hold on.
That's not okay, HackOps.
You're moving way too fast for me. Whoa. First off, there's a machine on your network and you don't know what it's for?
No. Yes, I don't know.
Second of all, there's
a machine on your network
with a machine you don't know.
It's HackOps.
No. No.
So there's a line between HackOps and stupid.
No, the end goal of HackOps is the same as SOP. You still want a safe network and safe infrastructure.
Right.
I would say stupid is a qualifier. If you showed this to somebody else out of context, would they say, that's stupid? Then yes, that's HackOps.
That's HackOps.
Yeah.
So it brings us sort of
crazy.
to our next point, though. We have a note here talking about cattle versus pets versus endangered animals.
I'm a little bit proud of coming up with that, by the way.
Yeah. Cattle aren't pets.
Yes,
Brett, that's
exactly.
Done.
That's sort
Next.
of the point.
Well, cattle aren't pets, right?
So what? Obviously, the analogy, cattle. We have a herd of cattle. We treat them all fairly similarly. There's usually many of them. Pets, you might have one or two, but they're sort of one-offs, if you will. They're less generic than the cattle. And then you have endangered animals. Like you have one of something that's sitting in the corner, and it's probably half dying
pandas
because humans are terrible.
Well, all right. Well,
so why do we actually?
You're a cattle ranger, right? You've got a cow. It falls sick.
You have a moo cow?
Are you gonna take that cow to the vet? I mean, I guess it all depends on how large your herd is.
Probably.
Actually,
I like beef.
Cattle don't go to vets. Vets come to cattle.
That is also
generally
true.
speaking.
Son of a bitch. All right. Whatever. You get what I'm saying, right? Do you call a vet Or do you just shoot the cow? Assuming you shoot the cow. Assuming you've got like.
Well, is it a
which is more efficient?
Is it a dairy cow or is it a
irrelevant?
My point being,
right?
You're less prejudicial towards the cattle members because they're supposed to function as a group.
Yeah.
It's the bees in a beehive, right?
Right.
Hive mentality sort of thing. Collectively is their worth, not individually.
Right.
A pet, it's individuality is its worth.
Correct.
Its uniqueness is its worth. You don't, and as Johnny said, rightfully so, servers are cattle, not pets. Right.
Yeah. Right.
You don't want to have to treat your servers like some kind of you don't have to deal with it with kid gloves every fucking time.
Right.
You got to remember, is this the one that reboots on like a 5-second delay? Is this the one that we can't patch?
But invariably, you're going to come across servers that have those quirks.
Yes.
I mean, I have some hardware servers that I know when I bounce them, it's going to be at least 10 minutes before they come back up.
Right.
And then I have others that are like 5-ish minutes.
Right.
And so,
as the size of your fleet grows,
right.
I think it's invariable that you're going to bump into shit like this.
Right.
Namely, I would say because of vendors. Outside vendors are a terrible problem with this, right?
Yeah.
Because they like, there's like, okay, you can't patch this. We're not even going to give you creds into it. Just let us do our thing.
Or the ones that want you to give it domain admin.
Or that. Yeah.
No.
You shouldn't. But like HackOps is kind of necessary in that case, right? Because you've got this machine. You don't know when it's been patched. You can't patch it yourself. It is still mission critical. It is still required because obviously you have this vendor for a reason.
Yeah.
That no other solution you found acceptable to replace it with, right?
Right.
So HackOps is sort of the approach of saying, how can we still treat this cattle member? How can we still put a leash on this cattle member? Because obviously you still need to account for the way it's going to fall into place. You want to treat it like a cattle.
Yeah. But you do have to end up treating it specially. I mean, you do have to separate it from the herd.
Context. Yeah.
Right. So you do have to separate it from the herd. You do have to have the vet come out and look at that one particularly.
Yeah.
Maybe going with the cattle versus servers, maybe their hooves don't grow right, or the horns going into the head. I mean, to go back to a server, it's got a finicky PSU that you have to like flip it twice before it actually like comes on okay. Whatever. Eventually, you're going to have to replace that. You're going to have to either shoot the cow or replace the server, and
well, that's usually when you would call the vendor. But my point is you still need to make aberrant changes to your network to account for that.
Correct. Yes.
Strangeness in it.
Yeah.
But with cattle, shooting the cow, you still end up with a useful product.
Yes.
Indeed. Unless it has mad cow,
can we shoot the vendor? Is that
I would love to. Can we? Please?
Let me tell you about people jerky. I don't think we have time. This will be an off the air.
Okay.
I've had some.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the whole point then, if I'm distilling this correctly,
yes,
which probably tastes better than the other shit, we can use HackOps to make our infrastructure a little bit more like cattle and a little less like endangered animals and or pets. Is that the whole point here?
Yeah.
So this server that we can't replace is the endangered animal, right?
Uh-huh.
Right. Exactly.
That's the thing. It still requires that sort of unique treatment.
Kid gloves, so to speak.
Kid gloves.
White glove, whatever you want to call it.
But at the end of the day, you don't want to treat it like a pet because that's still harmful to what you want to accomplish. You want to treat it like a vast wildlife.
You're going to tag it, you're going to monitor it, and you're going to put it out in the wild, and every so often you're going to dart it and check it out, and then put it back out again.
Yeah, I'd say that's
because otherwise, if you fuck with it too much, it's going to be like, I'm going to refuse to procreate, and you're going to have a situation like the giant pandas where, they ain't making more.
No, I'm pretty sure the pandas
You don't want it to make more,
like
though.
that. Yeah, you don't want it to.
Yeah, I don't want more sick cattle.
I'm just saying, you want
to protect it. You don't want to,
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Also, I think pandas had a problem copulating. many, many years before they were ever on the endangered
Yes,
list.
that's very true.
So it's just a...
Actually, they're not on their endangered species list anymore. From what
Is
I
it a
understand.
pressure thing?
Yeah.
Like, why were they having issues with this?
They would just prefer to eat and sleep.
They're lazy.
Huh.
Yeah.
They've bred themselves into nothingness, and we refuse to let that happen.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, they were trying to like, here's a beautiful panda for you to mate with, and he's like, you know.
They don't want it to happen.
They're a metaphor for what's going on in Japan right now.
That's, you know what? That's a very astute
Yeah, the
observation. That's
birth
very
rate in Japan is like way down, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
because the kids are like, why would I bother with the risk of a relationship that may end poorly when I have
Right.
hentai and paki?
Yeah. I actually want to
And
say that the birth rate in the U.S. is starting to creep down a little bit too.
It has been
Yeah.
for 50 years, since
in-
before any of us were born.
Yeah.
In Britain, they've actually just, I want to say it was 2010. Did we talk about this? 2010 or so, that they actually just replaced the amount of people who were lost from World War II. Like they've just now
Just got back up to that.
to that level they
Really?
were at. Yeah, yeah. So
Well,
it's,
is that good or bad?
I don't know. We have a lot of people on this earth right now, honestly.
We're one of the least populated countries by available space. Second
Yeah.
only to Australia.
Midwest is like empty.
Oh man,
A lot of the
yeah.
Southwest.
And even so, we still aren't, we still have to do weird things with food to make enough of
Yeah.
it to
Right.
feed just our people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we are making a surplus, but we're also paying farmers to not grow anything. It's like, hey, don't grow.
That's kind of how China
That's
is too. China's huge, right? But only what, I think a sixth of it is actually inhabited.
Right.
Yeah.
But densely inhabited.
Yes, very
Well,
densely.
you guys have seen that circle where, what is it, 75% of the population or 95% of the population lives in that circle, and then the rest is outside of it?
Yeah.
I forget the actual value, but it's some astronomical number lives in this circle, and it's literally China and India.
Oh, yeah, right.
And you're like,
Yeah.
holy
That's
crap!
most
you
of
know,
the Earth lives
they're
there.
2
Yeah,
and 2
global
billion
population.
respectively, or 2 billion and 1.9 billion each,
Yeah.
respectively. And then outside of that is like, holy crap!
I don't know if you've ever been to China. Any of you?
I have not.
A 25 million person city there is common.
not
It's
surprised.
big. It's big, but there's more than one, and there's cities that exceed that.
Yeah.
You have no idea what that looks like. It's bananas. It's like, remember Final Fantasy VII? How the whole first disc just took place in this one city, and
Yeah.
you thought the whole game was just going to be this city, and
Right.
that's what Shanghai is like. That's what Beijing is like.
Yeah.
You can get in a car and you can drive at speed for an hour and a half and still be in the city.
That's crazy.
It looks like Sim City because they just get these cookie cutter buildings. They go, all right, this 50-story condo, I need 20 of those in this plot of land. And then when those are
Sounds
done
like a
being
whole
built,
dense
they're full. And they're like, all
process.
right, 20 more next to them.
Okay.
And you'll drive for 2.5 hours and keep thinking you keep seeing the same set of 20.
So you're like in an old cartoon from the 70s?
Yeah,
where
where
you're
the
running in the
background
hallway
keeps
and-
repeating. Yeah. And then you get to the edges of the city where there's tons of stuff being built and purchased that nobody lives in.
Yeah.
It's being bought and purchased as investment because they're like, yeah, people need to live here eventually. But because the construction companies know that, they're using the worst quality products possible to build this housing.
I've seen some of those buildings fall over on.
Yeah.
It's like, holy crap.
They're gorgeous to look at, but they're like museum models. It's like, please don't touch.
Yeah.
And this isn't meant to last. And so, by the time anyone ever needed to live there, the building is desolate, and anybody who invests in that has lost money. And then there's also another scam where if you build a structure, and I don't remember exactly how this scam works, but if you build something and nobody buys it, the government gives you a kickback for doing it, for trying.
Wow.
And it's more intricate than that, but because of that, there's these buildings they call nail houses. No, it's a different thing. I won't take up more time with that. But there's these buildings that are they're like frameworks of a building. It's like cement floors, and then enough pillars to hold the floors up, and then stairs, and that's it. Like there's no walls, there's no roof. Like it's just that, and it looks like a burned out building. It's like the guts of the building,
Wow.
and that's it. And that's all they built, and they collect their kickback from the government because like, look, I built a structure and nobody bought it.
But yeah, they don't want to because there's nothing there.
That is so hacky.
Oh yeah,
always
there's
want walls
so
and
much
shit,
of that.
and I don't understand.
Who needs walls?
Yeah.
Just give me a roof,
just
man.
live there.
You know?
And it's just like the method of like inspection, like the amount of manpower that takes for what's going on there, like, and the amount of monitoring of watching the watchers that has to go on. Like it's so easy to bribe people there because like they're not being watched. It's a mess, and it's getting better slowly, but it's a mess.
Well, from what I understand, isn't China like heavily? There's a very large disparity between urban and rural. Like there are people who are rural China who don't even have like realistically power or internet or phones.
Oh for sure. I mean,
I
there's
feel like
Mongolia. There's like
more,
that, a lot of natives that still
I think that's more of a cultural thing though. They tend to hold on to a traditional way of life more closely.
You mean they want to hold on to what they got?
No, I don't.
No, you don't.
I don't mean that. No, I mean like there are communities in Mongolia and such, but I feel like they. I mean, first of all, it'd be expensive, relatively speaking, for them to just uproot and leave all they've known and try to adapt to city life.
Oh yeah,
right?
well, and actually that's what's happening a lot still.
Okay,
that's where Beijing came from. Beijing was a much smaller city until industry really started booming there, and the need for all of the farming that was going on around Beijing stopped for that specific type of farming. So they had no choice. Your choice was either starve to death because nobody's buying your crops anymore, or move to Beijing and get a job in a factory or as a construction worker or whatever. And so you've got this, so the city just exploded, but you've also got this weird thing going on where you've got a very undereducated populace being responsible for construction work, and because they're the only people available to do it, and like you got to do it. It's really weird because you've got a city which usually is more educated and more culturally aware, but that's not actually what's going on. And in fact, my experience has been like going out to the rural areas. They're actually less xenophobic out there, just the opposite of America. Like here, you go to the rural areas, and like if you don't look like them, you're probably
Dang foreigners, get off my lawn.
back the way you came.
Go back to where you came from, boy.
Yeah, it's not racist because we're American. And in China, like they're excited. Like you're the first white person they've seen, and holy crap, let's get the camera. Come meet my family. This is my wife. This is her mother. This is our daughter. He's from America. And all they want to do is sit with you and talk to you and ask you about what your life is like. But then in the city, like they're angry that you bothered to even come to their country. Like,
right.
Why are you here?
It's pretty interesting.
So back to HackOps.
I mean, we really only have
this has
like
been China Administrivia.
5 minutes or so.
I'm also the Chinese ambassador to Hope. I don't know. And Icelandic.
Well, there you go.
But I think really just to wrap up.
That's kind of it. I want to stress that like it's totally valid sometimes, not as a habit, but sometimes to take a really hacky approach to your operations.
And you will learn
don't have a choice.
through a career in operations, of which I am much earlier in mine than you are, but you will learn when it's okay to employ a hacky fix versus like, oh shit, I should just do it the right way.
I'll be honest right now, I blatantly have a bias against the developers. I will give them whatever hacky turnip I can.
Hacky turnip?
Yeah.
That's just you being
like the vegetable?
No.
Turned up?
N-U-P, not
Let's
N-I-P.
You
start using that.
got servers twerking over there, or what?
Sure.
You know?
Hacky turnip.
A turnip is any turnip that's hacky.
I like it. I like it.
I can get you a turnip real quick.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, realistically, our job is reactionary and proactive.
Yeah.
You're taking care of issues. You're trying to resolve them as they come in.
We're fighting fires, and we're also
you're also digging fire roads, so to speak. Like it's not always reactionary. If you're always being reactionary, then everything you're going to do is going to be hacky, and at some point your infrastructure is just going to collapse. And so if you're like preparing, and if you're digging those fire roads, and you're prepping the water barrels, so to speak, eventually A hacky solution is going to be a temporary solution. You say, oh, fuck, this is fucked up. I got to fix this.
Yeah.
And you know, hey, this server is a hacky server. We need to replace it ASAP.
Yeah.
But it's up for now. We're in prod. We're good.
Yeah.
And then you just monitor.
Well, and to run with that, I think we all do hacky things sometimes, especially with the intent of going back like, oh, I'm going to fix this in a week when I really have the time.
Guilty.
Yeah, right.
Guilty as charged.
We're all guilty.
Yeah.
I do think that's fine if you stick to that plan, but if you never go back and fix it, all of a sudden everything is hacked together, and you no longer have a job, and everything's on fire. So.
And nobody ever goes back and fixes it. And
Well,
that's
the
one
big
of the
question
things
is,
you really
who
have to be aware
here-
of.
Yeah.
Has set up a temporary solution that's still
Oh, yeah,
being
absolutely.
used.
I can rattle some things off.
Yeah.
Because it happens. I mean,
Right.
in the heat of the moment, something is broken or you need something yesterday, so you just get it working, and you're like, okay, I'll add configuration management tools to this later, and I'll make sure that, you know...
And then
The
5 years later, you're like, oh,
prioritization
crap, that server's still on.
I think what makes HackOps
Yeah.
possible,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And
knowing how to prioritize it.
yeah, sometimes you get to the next reboot because the power went out or something, and you're like, oh, fuck, that machine didn't come back because XYZ. Like, that's shitty HackOps. Don't do that.
That's right, the CMOS
I have
is
one of
dying
those in
now.
my house. And I hate it, and I never fix it. Because that's just in my house.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Except every time like it reboots, it's like there's my evening gone. Like standing back up everything manually that I did last time.
Yeah. I think we've all for a while
all been there.
on the 3.x kernels. My router would do that. My Linux router.
That seems like an important one.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, you know, well, it would reboot, and then I wouldn't lose BIOS settings. It just wouldn't turn back on. So even if I did a reboot, I would have to reboot F.
You'd have to
Actually,
go
that would work fine.
manually power
hit
cycle
the power
it?
button in the rack.
Would it
yeah.
just hang during shutdown? Is that
No, it would halt. It would successfully halt the system, but it wouldn't actually trip the.
wouldn't like send the
the
ACPI
power
signal
signal,
or
yeah.
something? All right.
Wouldn't send that.
Weird.
Super weird.
Yeah, but a reboot -F worked fine for it. So I don't,
Weird.
go figure.
Go figure.
Anyways, I think that's been good.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Please.
really all we had to talk about.
Tweet at us and tell us your favorite HackOps story.
That's right. I need to drop the contact info. Our website is sysadministrivia.com. I'm going to spell that. It's sysadministrivia.com.
You should do the spelling bee.
Sysadmin is trivia.
But it's actually
That's
a
easy.
portmanteau.
Right, yeah.
But every time I explain a portmanteau, people get confused by it. So I'm just going to leave it at what Johnny said. Our Twitter podcast, or podcast Twitter,
Yep, there
is,
you
what,
go.
is the phrase I'm looking for, is at
Squadcast.
SYSADM_podcast. And that's because we could have used at Sysadministrivia, but Twitter doesn't let you have admin in your handle. No shit.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Real bummer.
Super bummed.
I do have to say that I actually really enjoyed recording with you guys in person. This was actually, I think, our first time doing this. And it was
yeah,
kind
this
of
is
cool.
our first, well, Jthan and I did for season 1.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
'Cause that was
And
2
you
years
guys were
ago.
here last year.
Yeah, right.
Well, not last year.
2
Last
years.
time.
But that was when our season 1 was, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
That's what it's
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, all right.
That's
Everybody
really? That was your
else
first
that's
season?
what I'm talking about.
Well,
We
no.
started at
no.
0.
We started at 0.
Edgy.
Nerds.
Nerds. We're
I
nerds.
tried to tell them to do season 2 as season 1-1, you know, to follow
Well,
the...
no, no.
That probably
It was
throws
too
off like
late.
the podcast aggregators. Like when
It
you start
does.
getting, like, what does season 0 even
does.
do to them?
They interpret it.
Season 0,
Alright.
they handle fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like binary or hex or something, that would.
But if you do
mess
season
up
1
the
and then season, well, then you would do season 01,
Right.
and then that would.
And then 1-0.
and then eventually,
1-1.
yeah. And then when you when you go from 01 to 10, I think you're going to cause like a ton of CPU spikes from everyone constantly making calls to find the in between season.
Right.
You're going to like freak everyone's aggregators out.
I kind of want to start a different podcast just to find different ways of breaking podcast clients.
We could just call it like the semantic versioning podcast.
The notes should all be in hex.
There you go.
It's not my fault. Your aggregator's dumb. But,
Yes. Yeah.
Well, you're just an idiot.
And the entire time it'll just be a test tone for every episode. Yeah. The entire purpose is to just mess with the metadata.
A 5-minute test tone, just
That is the most like uppity sysadmin podcast title I could think of.
I would too, actually.
Well, that's a good way of finding out if your podcast client's broken, I guess. You know?
Why don't you just use a different aggregator?
Right.
Why are you using this?
Works for me.
Yeah. Just use this incredibly difficult CLI-based one. It works fine for me. Why don't you just do that, Mom?
Just use LXML and write a Python script to parse the... Yeah, Lua. I learned Lua for the first time.
Dude, it's coming back.
Oh
my God.
It is. It's coming back.
Why?
And
it's a natural balance for Google pushing Go.
It is.
All right,
I'm told we're done here. Thanks, everybody.
Mom's giving us the wrap-up signal.
But it was good.
Thank you very much.
Yep. All right. This has been the Sysadministrivia podcast. I'm Johnny Christmas of Radio Statler signing off. Stick around. We are immediately switching over to Chelsea Manning's keynote at Hope Live.
And Jthan, you still with us, bud?
Yep.
Okay. You haven't slit your wrists yet?
No, I've been thinking about it the whole time, but
Can you not, please?
Not on air, okay?
Yeah.
Afterwards. After we're done.
No, not at all.
I mean, not at all.
I'm getting mixed signals here. I'll flip a coin.
Don't flip a coin.
Not do it.
Just don't do it.
It's fate, dude. It's fate.
No, it's not.
It's not
okay.
fate.
Are you ready
No fate but what you make.
to perform your duties for the baddie? This is like, what episode is this? S03E14?
Let me take
you
a
only
drink.
have you only have. Do we do baddies during the shit show?
Yes, we do.
We have
do?
in the past, but they haven't really gone so well.
Well, that's because you've been drunk off your ass, which is
Coming
even
from
funnier to
you.
read.
It's because we got a bunch of fucking numbnuts in the
Who don't know when to
recording
shut
channel. Right, exactly. That's why the batting never goes well for the shit show. Anyways, you only have 8 more baddies to go, including this one.
I already have them all picked
inclusive
out.
of
Now
this one.
shut up and let me do it. Brent's baking his own ass off. Paden's taping dildos to the wall, and I'm going to talk about the baddie. In a story from Bleeping Computer, dated August 27th, 2018, an OCR software dev exposes 200,000 customer documents.
Wait, who? What? Does what?
An OCR software dev.
Okay.
Do you know what OCR is?
Yes, I do know what OCR is.
Okay, so the intro is: a misconfigured MongoDB server belonging to Abby, an optical character recognition software developer, allowed public asses to customer files.
Public
access.
Yeah, public asses. You know, the
Access.
asses for everybody, the people's ass.
Access.
Oh my God.
Independent security researcher Bob Diachenko discovered the database on August 19th, hosted on the Amazon Web Services cloud platform. It was 142 gigs in size and allowed access without any need to log in. The sizable database included scanned documents of the sensitive kind, contracts, non-disclosure agreements, internal letters, and memos. Included were more than 200,000 files from Abby customers who scanned the data and kept it at the ready in the cloud. Good job, guys. Some collection names like Document Recognition or Document XML hinted that the database, that's not actually there, I added that would be part of a data recognition company infrastructure. Evidence that the database belonged to Abby came from another collection of documents that contained usernames under the form of corporate email addresses and encrypted passwords. Womp womp. 2 days after Diachenko notified them, the security team disabled access to the information. The duration of the total exposure prior to him finding it is unclear, but I would assume it was probably been accessed, but who the hell knows? Anyway, I'm not going to go on to read the statement from Abby or anything else. I'm just going to go on to say, if you are a company who is accepting scanned fucking documents from people, probably make sure if that's literally the only thing you do. Like, I could take a picture of a document and secure it, so you probably could too, Abby.
Can we make a moratorium against people using MongoDB?
No, but we can make a moratorium against people putting things in fucking S3 buckets on the internet with no password on them, and that seems like a good idea.
That?
Sure.
Can we please do that? I think that's more important than MongoDB, honestly.
Mongo's
I think this is
here. Idiots using Mongo is a problem here.
Yes.
Well, sure. But I feel like people have... We've now had, I think, no less than 3 baddies associated with a MongoDB breach.
So let me ask you.
And S3. I mean, most of them have been S3.
So part of the problem is, from recollection, MongoDB installs without a password. It just doesn't listen on the WAN
That was going to be my
interface.
question: is have you ever actually maintained an instance of MongoDB
Maintained is a strong word. I have turned up.
So is public ass,
I have turned up and I have
that ass
prepared.
Strong ass.
I have configured, but I would not say I have maintained one. No.
Okay, therefore you have no authority with which to speak. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you shut down a public ass.
No, it's not, because listen, yeah, I guess I just call myself a public ass.
Somebody stick their fingers in that guy.
No, listen, all right? Part of the problem is people are not securing these during the initial install. They're not setting that password.
You talking about the fingers or MongoDB?
No, I'm talking about MongoDB. All right? My point is, I did that when I set it up.
Okay.
So,
all right, well,
I feel like I'm qualified to comment on it.
There are plenty of things, though, that you there's plenty of things you install that by default are insecure. That doesn't mean it's if you install OpenSSH server on fucking Ubuntu, it automatically starts with the default settings. I think that's pants on head, but hey, Ubuntu does it.
I mean, I just have to say, we have a whole community around using Shodan to go and find unsecured IP cameras or Alexas or what have you, and snoop on the people that are there. I think trying to get people to secure their MongoDB database is like the least of our problems right now. Kind of. I don't know.
I think we should just disconnect the internet.
Yes, there you go. Well, just
the entire internet.
The whole thing. Just
unplug it.
There's got to be like one switch somewhere that if you do it, it'll just fuck everything.
It's got to be. It's probably in some
technically,
third world country
I guess
somewhere.
That's no. I guess technically that's sort of BGP. I guess if you fuck BGP, everything's going down. There's safeguards in place and stuff. So you don't want to.
Sure.
And according to Dan Kaminsky, if you fuck DNS, the internet will blow up. I'm sure it would have some super severe effects. I'm not doubting that, but I don't think the entire internet relies like it's a fact that TCP/IP switching alone, let alone the entire stack, doesn't rely on DNS.
I'm just going out on a limb to say that this is off topic now.
It sure, but my point is, Jthan,
butthole.
Fuck MongoDB.
No,
that's where I'm getting at.
I mean, inherently I agree for other reasons, but I don't think you can blame MongoDB for stupid people. Do not conflate the two.
I'd say
simply
it's stupid to.
I agree with Jthan on this, and I'm surprising myself with saying that. I definitely agree. You cannot.
The default install.
There's
is
lots
stupid.
of people who install stupid fucking software, but if you install stupid fucking software and then you actually make it secure, then it's fine. Most of the time. Sometimes. Once in a while. It happened once.
it happened once. Well, I think you're wrong, but I respect your right to disagree.
Thank you for the first time ever respecting me in any capacity.
Wow.
I don't respect you, just your right to disagree. Okay, wow. I think that has been Sysadministrivia, right?
Yes.
Sure. Are we ready? Okay.
Dropping the mic. Get out of here, you public anus.
I'm Brent.
I'm Jonathan.
I'm Paden.
See you around. Okay. Okay.
Can we heckle you during?
Because no more baddies next season.
If you had a prosthetic, would you take it off before you had sex?
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
well, it depends. It depends what the prosthetic was of.
Not your penis, I'm assuming.
No, obviously. I don't even know if they make prosthetic penises.
They do,
but
yes.
They definitely do. It's called a dildo, and you tape it on.
Okay, point made. But you strap it on. You don't tape it on, Jthan.
Tape, strap.
I don't think anyone's ever taped it on. It's just like a big roll of duct tape to start taping it around your leg. And okay,
I can be ready whenever you want me to be ready. Okay, let's just ease into this now.
Let's do it. I'm baking my ass.
All right.